Hello everyone, I am Janet or Janet, however you want to pronounce it, it's fine with me. I am here to talk about fibromyalgia. That's a diagnosis that I was given to a little bit ago, just a minute. I've been seeing a rheumatologist for the past year, and so it has been continuing on progressively. What fibromyalgia is a chronic, long-lasting disorder that causes a lot of pain and tenderness all over the body. It doesn't matter where you usually experience pain. It's chronic, and that's what they say. It's for a lifelong condition. And I wanted to talk about my experience and how what I think of it and my personal opinion and how I've dealt with it and how I've come to this point to not struggle so much with it, and having a better understanding of myself, analyzing myself in short words. I might want to elaborate a little bit on it maybe another time. But for the time being, I want to say that I understand the people who are in chronic pain, because I've had chronic pain for a long time. And it really sucks when you go to doctors, you go to physicians, you go to the ER, and they are just telling you you don't have anything. And they just give you a pill or an injection, a medicine over the counter, yet you come to see and find out that that doesn't work, that the pain is persistent, that the pain does not go away. Be it a migraine, a headache, a cluster headache, tension headache, a pelvic pain, abdominal pain, back pain, joint pain, etc. The list keeps going on and on and on, and it's frustrating when people tell you, or when professionals tell you, you don't have anything, you're fine. Yet you know you're not crazy. This pain is real. This pain is palpable. This pain is agonizing at times. This pain is unbearable, excruciating, debilitating, to the point that you just feel like you can't go to work because it's just too much. Just the other day, a few days ago, actually, a couple of days ago, I had a migraine. And thank God it wasn't as horrible as I had experienced years ago when I had a migraine for 6 consecutive months. And to know that you have to live with it for the rest of your life, it's unacceptable. And to me, it is unacceptable. To me is a no way. I won't. And so I went through so many doctors, specifically with the migraines. That's just focusing on one thing, okay? Because pains are endless, and some people would tell me, you're exaggerating, because if I'm just touching your neck just like lightly and you're in excruciating pain, you're exaggerating. Well, people are not under your skin. People are not under my skin to tell us this pain is unbearable. Nobody out there can experience pain the way that you and I experience it unless you're going through it. Unless you experience it firsthand, you know that the pain is real. You know that the pain is debilitating, and sometimes you just need to go to bed. You just need to take a nap. You just need to just do whatever it is that you need to do to cope with it. And most times you can't cope with it. because you tried one thing after another, after another, after another, for it to fail again, once again to fail. In my experience, I've analyzed myself and came to terms with it, not accepting it. That's the one thing that I did not do. I did not accept it as part of my life. It came into my life, but it doesn't belong in my body. It does not belong. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the analytical part of it, understanding why I might be going through this. So I went back to my childhood, analyzing when did I start having migraines. And it was between the age of 6 or 7 years old. And it was just so much. Part of it was because I was under stress. A family member, which was my dad, he was out of the country, working hard to give us a better life. And there were certain family members who spoke wrong about the situation with a certain person, and it made me feel very sad and depressed. And I think that coincided with the initial migraine, because it was just a detachment, a feeling of abandonment, and not having the father that I needed in the most crucial ages of my life and times of my life, that I felt that started then, and progressing into my father having a stroke and having other health issues, and me not being able to sleep for 2 straight weeks. And from what I've been reading is that depression, high levels of stress can cause pains and fatigue and feeling tired and having all kinds of these issues in the body. And so I started having this mind of putting the puzzle together in my life, in my opinion, in my mind, right? It might be different for others, but this is my story, and this is how I think of it. I know that stress can trigger a lot of abdominal pains, as well as headaches, as well as sleepless nights, as well as depression, and as well as other pains. Not being able to relate to other people normally as you would. There's a lot of trigger points in my life. I found it to be very, very accurate, to the point that I was just getting frustrated on top of being stressed out and having to go through the migraines. But understanding that the problem is not the present, it goes back when. And being unattended, and the fact that there is no professional to guide me through coping with the depression, coping with the stress, and how to cope with in this angry world that we live in. Because yes, we do live in an angry world, and it's very true. And a very dear friend of mine, she actually gave me a book, Surviving in an Angry World. And it's just very interesting to learn how to cope with your anger, how to cope with the stress, how to cope with the loss, how to cope with all of these. And even though doctors don't know the root of the problem, I find it very accurate that mental health plays a big role in my situation, in my experience. Mental health has become very real, and I've come to terms with accepting what I've lived, accepting it. Like, okay, it happened, all right, but it's time to take the reins of my life, take the reins of my emotions, and say, I understand that I'm feeling this pain, but it does not belong to me. And I'm not gonna be the owner of this pain. What I did next was, yes, of course, I was not negligent. I went to the doctors. I went to many, 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 many doctors. Um, Very frustrating, in fact. I feel ridiculous having to go through so many doctors. Yet, if I were to neglect myself, that would be, of course, by far the worst. But um, I started making changes. First of all, analyzing and acknowledging what had happened in my past, in my life, in my childhood, my adolescent years, my young adulthood life, my adulthood life. Um, it's just putting the puzzle together, like I said before. Then I started making changes to having foods that would not cause my body to get more basically digesting more healthy foods that won't cause inflammation in my body, foods that are not highly processed, foods that are not junk. And yes, I do um I do love junk food. I admit it, and you can see the chicks, but it's just that we have to, well, I have to make sure that I am doing the process as I go. I'm making the process light. I'm not being aggressive with the change in the process. It's making small changes that my body will react to it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because there's a lot of foods that cause inflammation and would cause more pain in the body than normal. Like caffeine, it will dehydrate me instantly. And so I'd have to see what other coffees are out there that don't have caffeine, or something that I would say, okay, this is my coffee, like an organic, vegan, gluten-free, etc., using very healthy alternatives to progress and not degress. Fatty foods, sugars, carbs, those are the things that cause me to get more, my body to get inflamed, my organs to get swollen, my legs would get swollen, my hands would get swollen, my face would get swollen, and especially after a huge migraine, I can tell that my face is just swollen. It's just a lot of different weird symptoms, and doctors don't know, and they're like, that's weird, you're okay. However, another thing that I did was just give it to God. Just give it to God. And some people would say, well, prayer doesn't help. In my case, it has. There's time for everything under the sun. There is time for everything. There's healings that happen instantly. And thank God for that. Thank God for His grace. And there's times where it takes time. It takes time for you to get used to taking care of yourself to get better. Because it's something that we are used to eating and doing or not doing. For example, I am not a fan of going to the gym. But when I do exercise, I notice that my muscles are more relaxed, but I'm not overdoing it to a point that I'm causing my muscles to react in a defense mechanism and then the muscles would contract again, and it would make the whole thing worse. Because of the trauma that I've gone through, so many different kinds of traumas that I've been through. My body is just very hypersensitive to touch and to feeling the pain. And so I am just out here just letting you know that there is hope. Even though this diagnosis as a chronic disorder, it may not be a chronic disorder. In my case, I went to my rheumatologist again, and I told her, she never gave me a medication to begin with, and I did not want to take medication for lupus because I don't have any paperwork saying you do have lupus. There's no lab work specifying that it came up positive. So I said, I'm not going to take that medication because it's going to be much worse. And I'd rather just go with the rheumatologist who's knowledgeable and knows exactly what to give me. Yes, I was on a lot of pain meds. Yes. And many injections, medications, patches, creams, you name it. However, this past more than 7 months, more than 7 months now, that even though I've been in pain, I've been able to manage. It's been bearable. It's been to the point that, yes, I'm able to get up. Once or twice I was able to stay home, but just for 1 day or 2 days, but never to the point where it was a whole week as before or longer. But even the rheumatologist told me, wow, what have you done to make it better? And so I told her, yeah, it's just been a combination of getting healthier, mentally, emotionally, and my diet, and giving it up to God. Basically, it's just having God in your side, having Him guide you through, having Him in your life. It makes a huge difference. Even if you don't believe, you can just try, and you'll be amazed. Because God's grace, like Janet, the name Janet means God's grace. That's what it means. Graced by God, or God is gracious. God is gracious. And I know that you can do it. I know that you will come out of this. Don't doubt it. And I'm here for you. Take care.